My name is Marcia. I am 24 years old. I lived with my father and my sister in a small apartment. I did not work. My father was very sick. He never went outside. He stayed in bed most of the time. He always needed someone near him. So I stayed at home. I took care of my father. I only went out when my sister was at home. My sister's name was Katie. Katie and I were very different. I was short. I had a small round face. My hair was short and black. Katie was 6 years younger than me. She was tall. She had long brown hair. Her legs were long and slim. In summer, her skin was always brown from the sun. People often said to me, "Your sister is very beautiful." Many men liked Katie. They asked her out. They wanted to take her to dinner or the cinema, but I stayed at home. Katie worked in a shop in town. Her salary paid for everything we needed. When she was free, she liked to sit on the roof garden. One Sunday, I met a young, smart man at church. His name was Henry. He was 33 years old. He was a nurse at a hospital. Henry lived with his mother. They had a small house. One day, I brought Henry home. I wanted him to meet my father. My father was in bed. His hair was gray. His face looked tired. Sometimes he read a book. Most of the time, he watched TV. I said, "This is Henry, Father. He works at the hospital. We met at church." My father did not look at him. He said, "No, I don't remember." Then he turned back to the TV. He did not care about new people. Just then, Katie came into the room. She wore a white bikini and white shoes. She smiled at Henry. Katie said, "So you are Henry? My big sister has got a boyfriend at last." Henry's face turned red. He looked at the floor. Katie laughed. She said, "Come to the roof garden. Let's drink some wine. The sun is wonderful." Henry tried to speak. "Oh, he said. I felt angry, but I stayed quiet. I said, "I must get Father a drink. Go to the roof, Henry. Talk to Katie." The sun was hot on the roof. Henry took off his coat. There were 3 chairs, 3 glasses, and a bottle of wine. Henry said, "Very nice." Katie smiled at him. She said, "We don't see many handsome men here. Sit down. Have a drink." Henry laughed. He said, "Thank you, Katie." Henry tried not to look at her legs, but it was not easy. Katie put suntan oil on her arms and legs. Henry watched her. Then I came up to the roof. The 3 of us sat in the sun. We drank wine. I looked at Henry with love. I did not look at my sister. Katie watched us. She smiled. It was not a kind smile. After that day, Henry came home every Sunday. After church, we drank wine on the roof. Henry stopped his car outside the building. I said, "Sound the horn, Henry. Tell Katie we are here. Then she can get the wine ready." Henry did it. 3 short sounds. On sunny days, Katie came to the wall. She waved at us. Then she got the wine. Katie always wore a bikini or a very short skirt. I never wore short clothes. I once said to Henry, "My legs are too fat for bikinis." Henry smiled shyly. He said, "Your legs are very nice, Marcia." One day, Katie asked Henry, "What time do you finish work?" Henry said, "About 7. Katie said, "Can you please drive me home, Henry? My shop is near the hospital. You drive past it, and you live only 3 streets away from us." I said quickly, "There is a bus that stops right outside our building." Katie said, "But the bus is so slow. Please, Henry." She smiled at him. Henry looked at me. Then he looked at her. He said, "Oh, well, yes. All right then." Katie kissed him and said, "Thank you, Henry." After that, Henry drove her home every evening. One Friday, they came home very late. I waited at the door. I said, "What happened? Why are you late?" Katie said, "There was an accident. The road was full of cars." Henry said nothing. That summer was long and very hot. I went to church every Sunday. Katie stayed home with our father. When it was sunny, Katie lay on the roof in her bikini. She used a lot of oil. I sat under the umbrella. I said, "The sun is bad for your body." Katie laughed. She said, "Henry likes my body." I felt angry. I said, "No, he doesn't." She said, "Oh, yes, he does. He's very shy around women, but he always looks at my body. He does it all the time. Perhaps he wants me to take off my—" "Stop it, Katie," I said. "Don't say those things." Katie laughed. She said, "What's the matter, big sister? Are you afraid I'm going to take him away from you?" I did not answer. One Sunday morning, Henry called me. He said, "Marcia, I don't feel well. I'm not going to church today." I said, "My love, I'm sorry. Can I call you when I get home?" Henry said, "Yes, of course." I said, "I will be late. There is a meeting after church." Henry said, "Oh, yes, I remember." But I was wrong. There was no meeting after church that day. So I left the church at the usual time and came home early. First, I checked on my father. He was asleep. Then I called Henry. But there was no answer. I thought maybe he was sleeping and his mother did not want to answer the phone. I went to my room. I put on a long summer skirt. Then I went up to the roof. I touched the door. I stopped. The door was half open. I could hear voices. A man's voice. Henry's voice. He said, "I feel bad. We must tell Marcia soon." Katie said, "No, Henry. It's our secret. Just a little longer, okay?" Henry said, I don't like it." Katie said, "But you love me, Henry, don't you? Not Marcia? Say you love me. Not her. Say it. Please." I froze. Henry said, "You know I do." My heart broke. They kissed. Katie said, "Oh, is your car outside, my love? We don't want Marcia to see it." Henry said, "I didn't bring my car. I walked here." Katie said, "Good. But it's getting late. You must go before she comes home." They kissed again. I moved away quietly and ran to my room. I did not want them to see me. Later, I heard the front door close. Henry was gone. I sat on my bed for a long time. My eyes were full of tears. Why? I thought. Why did she do it? I stayed at home all day with an old man. I could not go out to work. I could not make new friends. I could not meet new people. I went shopping once a week, and I went to church once a week. I gave up my life. Then I met Henry. When he said, "I love you," I was so happy. And now, Katie had everything. Good looks, a job, and friends. She was young and beautiful. She could have any man she wanted. So why Henry? Why? It was not because she loved him. It was because I loved him. Katie didn't want me to be happy. She wanted to hurt me. Henry did not love Katie. He only saw her beautiful sun-tanned body. He didn't know her. Katie will not have him, I told myself. The next Sunday, I did not go to church. I told Katie, I said, I have a headache. Henry is coming here after church as usual. I'm going back to sleep for an hour or two. Then I went back to my bedroom and shut the door. Later, when Katie was with my father, I went up to the roof. Her suntan oil was on the table. I smiled. Katie came up. She said, "Oh, is your head better?" I said yes. Katie wore a new yellow bikini. She opened the oil bottle. She said, "There is not much left. I must get some more." She began to put oil on her legs. Then we heard the horn. Katie laughed. She said, "He's here! Your man is here! Big sister?" Yes, I thought. My man, not yours. Katie ran to the wall of the roof. She wanted to look down and wave to Henry. She had no shoes. Her feet slipped. She cried, "Ah!" Katie tried to grab the wall, but the top of the wall was slippery too. Her hand slipped. She fell down, down, down. Before she hit the ground, she knew the oil was on the wall. It was me. If you liked this story, please like, comment, share, and subscribe.